Hi, how are you? Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Startup Namibia. Good evening, Namibia. Good evening, everyone. Whew. Before I start, we need to do the do. We have done our social distancing between the three of us, and we were wearing our masks. We did our sanitizing, so now we can take off our mask for our interview. All right. Whew. That feels better.
Yeah.
Yeah, the masks are good, but it's hard to talk with them. So, good evening, everyone. It's Thursday again. You know what that means. It's time for Campfire, the show where we go out, find the talent, find the knowledge, and we bring them in front of the fire, and then they give you the knowledge and all the experience. Today is going to be so exciting because we've got a young person, a lady, and she's doing something very different to what everyone else is doing. Let me introduce my guest today. Her name is Helvi Shindume. She's the founder of Women in Agriculture. Welcome.
Hi, Leitaro. Thank you to Startup Namibia for giving me the opportunity to share my knowledge with you and the viewers. As you said, I am Helvi Shindume, founder of the Women in Agriculture Namibia Club. I am also a final year student at the Namibia University of Science and Technology. I'm doing my bachelor's degree in agriculture.
Okay, so that means you are wearing two hats.
Yes, exactly.
Helvi, I think before we dive into this interesting topic, I just want to tell all our viewers that we have, once again, our sign language interpreter, Ms. Helena Amwelo. She's here and she taught us to say, Ms. Helena, I hope you're watching. Oh, see you next time. So that's the only thing she taught me. Hopefully today we are going to learn some more things in sign language. Startup Namibia. Before we start, let me just introduce you and the viewers to Startup Namibia. Startup Namibia is an initiative between the German government and the Namibian government, specifically between the Ministry of Trade, Industrialization, and the GIZ and the German Embassy. So what we do at Startup Namibia is we work with upcoming ideas and companies. So if you have an idea or you have a young company, we help you to make that idea into a product or a service. Or if you're already an established company, we help you to accelerate. We are tonight at Bokamoso, which is in Karutura. And in a few months, we'll be building our center here at Bokamoso, where you'll be able to come with your ideas and with your products and just to take the next step. So we look forward to inviting you once we are having our new center for you to come and visit us and experience the space.
Okay, good.
Now, the floor is yours. So tell us more about yourself. I mean, do you have a background in agriculture or did you just fall into the career? And tell us, what made you choose this career path?
For me, I'm not really a farm girl. It's not like I grew up on the farm, raising the animals. And then that's where I got my love for farming. For me, it started more from school. I had agriculture as a subject since grade 6 to grade 12. So, with agriculture, it has always been the subject where I got the highest scores. Like, I would get my U's and F's in mathematics and history. But when it comes to agriculture, it was always excellent. So, coming to university, I was like, okay, if I'm so interested in this agriculture, I'm so good at it, why don't I just venture into it as a career then? So, that's how I just got into it.
Very interesting, especially the aspect of school, because later on we're going to talk about the education system.
Yeah.
But back to basics. I mean, we say a lot of words, but we never know what it means. Can you tell us what is agriculture? What does it mean? And what role does it play in society and the economy?
You know, agriculture includes both forestry, fishing, hunting, as well as cultivation of crops and rearing of animals. You know, and in Namibia, about 70% of the Namibian population depends on agriculture in terms of employment, income, and food security, especially in rural areas.
Wow. So it's quite a big part of our economy
Yes,
and our lifestyle.
yes.
And I know that a lot of us, back in the days, for your school holidays, you would be sent to the farm, and then you end up, walking through Hoteni there by Spitzkoppe with goats and rearing them for the whole day and come back in the afternoon. So it is a part of our society.
Yes, it is.
But food security, it's another thing that everybody talks about. But what is it really? And imagine you're explaining it to a 10-year-old. What is food security?
You know, food security is with the availability of food and one's access to it. You know, so to a 10-year-old, it would be like when everyone in the country has enough food and is able to eat the food. You know, so a household is considered food secured when all its occupants do not live in hunger or in fear of starvation. That is what we call food security.
Does food security have to do anything with, making sure you have enough stock for a rainy day, or is that not food security?
No, not really. It just means that as long as the food is there and you're able to use the food, then you're food secured.
Okay. And before we go to youth, I want to ask you a little bit more about women. Women in agriculture is one of those things that, we know we've got our aunties and memes at the farm. They are working. But are they seen as, is it like a big part of agriculture where women are involved, or is it just a small part?
You know, like for my organization, the Women in Agriculture Namibia Club, it was established with the sole purpose to strengthen the recognition of women's contribution in the agricultural sector. You know, so with the club, we're trying to empower women through information sharing, networking, coordinating training programs, as well as innovative projects. You know, so with the information sharing is through our social media platforms, and especially the WhatsApp group. Mm-hmm. And then we're currently busy with our project, which is setting up gardens for orphanage homes. And we're also trying to, because the club also consists of women that have the ability to farm. Let's say they have a piece of land, but they do not have knowledge about agriculture at all. So we're also trying to give training programs to the certain women who have the ability to farm, but do not have the knowledge to do farming.
So you're saying that, you're saying that there are enough women that are, participating in your programs. Therefore, there are enough women in the sector.
Yes. A lot of women are actually interested and they're actually engaged in agriculture. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what about young people, young Namibians? Are they also engaged from what you are picking up?
Yeah, yes. If you look at organizations like the ones we have in Namibia, we have the Agri for Youth organization, which is led by Mr. Hemka Haikali, a youth himself. And they had a conference last year, and if you look at the number of youth that attended that conference, it was actually huge. We also have the Kadab Youth Network, which was recently launched in Namibia in February. You see, so they had a workshop, and the number of participants, youth participants in this organization was really huge. You also find organizations like mine, the Women in Agriculture. These are youth-led organizations. So you can already tell that, yes, youth are actually pushing the agriculture sector.
It's very, 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 very good to see that young people are at the forefront of agriculture. And looking at it from an economic perspective, how important do you think it is that young people are at the forefront? Because you know that in the future it will be us young people, I'm upper youth now, but you young people that will be pushing our economy. How important do you think it is that young people at this stage are already involved in agriculture, knowing that it's an economic sector?
You know what, Leitako? A higher growth in agriculture is needed for sustainable food security in the country, as the food demands keep increasing. Now, to keep pace of this increasing demands, agriculture needs to be modernized and diversified. Right now, the youth bring in energy, vitality, and innovations in the workplace. A lot of young farmers engage in high technology and high returns agriculture, such as the floricultures. They do the processing of raw products, hydroponics. It's more like there's no way I can convince my grandmother in the north to stop plowing mahangu in the ground and start planting it in water, hydroponics, for example. It's not going to work. But if I tell that to a youth, they'll be interested and say, okay, how do we do this? So innovations are what we need in agriculture, and the youth are innovators.
Yeah, but that's all well and good. I mean, the opportunity is there. It's well suited for young people. It's technological, it's innovation, but why don't a lot of young people join up and say, hey, I want to be a farmer, I want to go into agriculture? What stops them?
I think one of the main challenge is funding. I think that's the biggest challenge that the youth are having. Funding, in a career like agriculture, for you to start the farming or the agriculture career, you need a lot of startup inputs. You will need land, first of all, and then you need huge capitals to buy machineries and equipment. You will need collateral assets. And most of the time, this is the stuff that the youth do not have. I mean, I'm just a graduate from school. Where am I going to get the land? Where am I going to get that huge amount of money? So me as a youth would rather avoid that career and then, become a nurse.
Yeah, but do you think there is an opportunity for youth that maybe in the rural areas where their mother has something, do you think it's a small step in the right direction if they first start at their mother's farm or somewhere else to test out the technology, to understand farming and so on? Or do you think they must just start with their own land?
No. It's not a small step. It's a big step, actually. Because what we want is, what I keep telling the youth is to go back to the villages, to that communal land back at home and improve agriculture that side. So if you come to me and say, you know what, Helvi, my mother has a piece of land in the north, then I want to start planting cabbage. I'm not going to say, no, you have to wait and get 200 hectares from the government, for example. I'll say, go for it. So it would be good if we all go back to our villages and improve agriculture that side.
Yeah, I want to take you further on that point. Let's say someone is sitting in Komasdal or Kurenkuru or Falgras, and they are saying now, okay, I like what she's saying. What practical steps can you give that person to say, they've got a garden, they've got some water, what businesses would you say, start with this just to get into the market?
There are quite a number of businesses that you can venture into. You can, if you want to, if you want to start to make your first million, I would say start with mushroom farming.
Mushroom farming?
Yes. You see, a lot of farmers in Namibia, they're just into livestock.
Yeah, when we hear farming, we think goats and, maybe some gardening, but mushrooms?
Yes, and you see, so if you're joining the farming career, why don't you go in with something unique, something that has less competition? And I mean, with mushrooms, you don't really need a huge area of land. Plus, they grow almost everywhere in all areas of the country.
Oh, okay.
Yes, provided there is enough shelter and water. So do the mushrooms. Everyone else is already doing goats, so why still go into the industry and do the same thing? Okay,
mushrooms is one. I want you to spend time on this part because this is practical knowledge, like giving ideas to people out there. So don't rush this. Just spend time on each one that you are giving them.
Okay.
What's the next one?
The next one is, we have a lot of these youngsters that love dogs. Puppies, you also know them, right? So those youngsters, why don't you take your love for dogs and turn it into a real business? You could literally start a breeding and training program for dogs. And with this kind of business, it does not have seasonal fluctuations. Like, no, people only buy dogs in December. It doesn't work like that. Plus, you don't really need huge capital to start with us. So why don't you turn your love for dogs into money?
No, that's a great idea. I think we have a colleague here who is Jesse, the computer kid, and he loves dogs.
You see?
I mean, and he buys them and he searches for them on Facebook and he always talks about them. You can see that he has a real passion for, but we don't want him to leave the project and leave our IT in a mess because
he might make money that side.
Yeah. Any other cool ideas?
Yes. You could also start with watermelons. Are you from the northern part of Namibia?
No, I'm from the western part.
Okay, good.
Rongo region.
Now, if you see most of us that are from the northern part, you will notice that in our fields, our mahangu fields, since we grew up, there are watermelons that grow there. Momapsa, the ones, the bamboos out there. You usually, there's mahangu and then there are watermelons in the field. So why don't you start planting watermelons the entire field? Now, every season you are planting mahangu. I mean, you already know that watermelons do well in our northern temperatures. You already know the cultivation, how it's harvested. So why don't you dive into watermelons and just plant watermelons?
Now, that's very interesting because at Startup Namibia, we also believe in innovation, right? How do you take what you've been doing all the time and just add a little bit of innovation to create a new product or new service?
Exactly.
And I haven't seen a big market, I mean, not a big market, but a big supply of Namibian watermelons. Do you know anything about that? Do you have a lot of suppliers?
Yeah, the suppliers, I saw most of them are based in Mariental, the Hardap region. I think that's where you find a lot of farmers. But you see, that is the Hardap region. But in the Hangwena region, watermelons also grow very well that side. But the farmers, every year you just plant mahangu. Why?
Last question. So, you know that I'm a media guy. You can ask me about cameras and social media and those things. But I have to ask you very funny questions. So, if you're planting your mahangu, does the watermelon grow next to it, or you have to plant the watermelon as well?
You plant the...
not a natural thing. It doesn't appear by itself.
No. Okay. You see what happens there in the north when they start planting? They just mix all the seeds together, so they just throw it in the ground. But the watermelons actually just grow very well that side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So, okay. Tell us about the next business idea.
Yes, this one is a very interesting one. It's yogurt production. But before I introduce you to the yogurt production and marketing, look at it this way. You already have a farm. You have your cattle and you milk them almost every day. So how about you take 1 liter of raw milk goes for yogurt production? You know, so it will be like each liter of milk gives you about 4 tumblers of yogurt. That will give you about 250 milliliters. So in a nutshell, one liter of raw milk will give you about $250. See? But
I mean, that makes economic sense, right?
Yeah, it does. But a lot of farmers, they just do the omayere and that's it.
Yeah, because I know that we do have a culture of doing the omahere, and we have a culture of thick milk, you know, of working with the cream and so on. So just to open it up, what is the difference between making cream and making yogurt, if you know? There's no really much difference. You know, are you talking about the thick milk? Yeah.
The thick milk is it's literally...
The sour one,
yeah,
the one with the pulp.
That sour one, that's the one I'm talking about. A lot of Namibian farmers are just doing the sour milk. So come in and start doing yogurt.
Yeah, but what would the difference be?
There won't really be a difference.
Okay, it's just a method.
Yeah, it's just the method. That same liter of raw milk that you do, the sour milk, can go into yogurt and make money out of it.
Yeah, and also looking at innovation, I'm just throwing something your way. We also look at things that you can get maybe from one plant, and then all the farmers are throwing it away because they don't need it. And then one of the young people that are watching this show can say, I'm going to collect all of those thrown away things from the different farmers, and then I can use it for feed for animals maybe, or use it to make coal or something else. That is also a big part of innovation.
Yes.
To see what people are throwing away. The tires is a good example. You know, when people throw away tires after the life is done, it can't be used on a car. And then you do something creative with it or plant things in it. So that innovation, do you think that is lacking in agriculture, or is it really there that people use something that's been already going on but just change the formula a bit?
I wouldn't really say it's lacking. There are people that are really innovative in agriculture. You find people that are really doing good with, you know, creative thinking. So it is there. But we need more innovation in agriculture. That's what we need, more of it.
And water is a big issue. Water is a real big issue, and that's where I'm making a call to the startups that are watching from home, the technical guys. Why don't you guys, you know, come up with ideas for water harvesting, for, you know, bringing waters over many kilometers to different villages? Because if we can bring water to where the farmers are, then innovation might happen by itself, because people will start using water.
Yeah.
Currently, water is very scarce. So when farmers get it, they're like, let me not take chances. You know, I've got my 25 liters. Let me not take chances and do funny things. Let me just use it for what I know it will work. So I just want to take a moment to tell our viewers, you know, this is Campfire, episode 7. You know, it was just yesterday that we started with the episode 1, and here we are. We've got our colleagues that are manning the system. So anytime when you have a question, ask your question on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, that's where we are on. They're laughing at me because I'm counting funny. So ask your questions, and then later in the show we are going to take some questions from you. Okay, we spoke about youth, we spoke about women, we spoke about the types of businesses. Don't you have one more there for us?
I do.
Please.
Actually, do have a lot.
Please.
You know, the other one is, you see, if this one goes to the guys that are not really into farming, you know, if you're not, the farming business, standing in the sun is not really for you, how about you do agri-produce marketing? You know, you market the produce for the farmers. So let's say you, for instance, travel to Mariental, to a rural farmer, and then you buy tomatoes and come to Windhoek and sell them in Windhoek. Or you can go all the way to Rundu, buy a bag of onions for $20, come to Windhoek, sell it to a hotel for $40. You know, quick cash.
Yeah, so that is just a matter of knowing the market and saying, okay, people need watermelons now. Let me find out where I can go get them and come sell them. I remember, you know, when we were traveling to the south, people would just drive down to Mariental and buy a lot of watermelons. Yeah, fill up their car and then come to Windhoek, and, you know, they would get their petrol money back easily and make a profit. Yeah,
you see? So we have a lot of guys. Some guys have truck. These guys that do deliveries, home deliveries. You have a truck, and in a month you only do about 3, 5, or 10 deliveries. And then the rest of the time, the truck is quiet. So why don't you go into the rural areas to the farmers, buy their produce and come sell it for them? You know, and the other one is, you know, I like to tell the youth, there's no point in going back to your village and start planting mahangu, for example. Everyone in your village is already planting mahangu. Why don't you go there and start with a processing facility, you know, to process mahangu into a high quality product that can be sold internationally, for example. You know, so now everyone just goes to the north and then they start planting mahangu while everyone else is already planting mahangu. It's not going to work.
But talking about mahangu and talking about, we had a good rainy season this year, thank God. But now we have a lot of mahangu. What are some of the things that you can do with mahangu that doesn't involve making a nice pap and eating it with your chicken?
I think in Namibia, that's all you can do with mahangu.
You can't make paper with it? No shoes?
What kind of shoes will that be?
Swag, 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 swag.
No, no. I think what you can do with that is we just need to really process it well, and make it attractive so we can sell it abroad, like a proper Namibian product, I think that's really what we can do with it.
And when you're looking at, the opportunities are there really. If you're looking at regions like Kavango East and Kavango West, they are trying to show me something I can't see yet. Sorry, guys. Kavango East and Kavango West, where really we've got access to the rivers. We've got a lot of people that have a farming culture, an agricultural culture. And if we can find, innovations that can help those people to be more efficient, to scale up and produce more fruits and vegetables and so on, then really we can turn around the economy.
Yeah, we can.
But we need young people also to, take the hand.
Spice up things.
Okay, innovation. We are having questions, and we appreciate your questions. I just can't get to them. After this answer, then we'll take some questions. Let's talk about innovation. I mean, what role do you think innovation plays in agriculture?
Innovations is just coming up with new ways, new technologies. New ways, new technologies. I think you can, if you look at where agriculture came from, agriculture has always, or farming in general, people only used the mahangu, the pangas and the hoes. But now for plowing, people are using machineries. So that is innovation. So once we have a lot of people coming up with new ideas on how to improve agriculture, it would really play a big role.
And I mean, is there something we can do about the poor donkey? He's been really the foundation for a lot of agriculture for a long time.
No, we don't use donkeys anymore.
Okay, well, what's the latest?
We use the what do you call it? Is it the Jaguars? We have the Jaguar tractors now.
Whoa!
Oh my God! You're far behind.
So you've got the latest Jaguar tractors, and the thing about tractors is you can rent them out, right?
Yeah, yeah. So if you're a farmer and you can't afford one-time truck, you can actually rent a truck somewhere. Yeah.
So I will ask just my colleagues to share their questions. We are going to take a quick break. Just, drink a little water, look at the questions from the community. But this is Startup Namibia Base Camp. We are on Campfire, Episode 7, and we'll be right back. Okay, and we are back. A glass of water. We are back at the fire. Questions are coming in from social media. And thank you everyone for all the great questions. Let's start with the last one, which is weird, but yeah, it opens your mind. So we have an excess of onions supplies in Namibia. So we have too many onions. Virginia Handukeme is asking, how is it that women in agriculture can be involved in order to do some value addition or preservation of onions to eliminate the waste?
To eliminate the waste of onions.
Yes.
I think you could too. I mean, this is just my opinion. I think you could do some cool stuff like compost, organic compost for your plants. If you have a few cabbages at your backyard garden, you can make small compost with the onion. Or I heard you can also remove the paint smell in the house. You can as well use, with onions, you see this garlic chives. The smell also, or just when you have the plant somewhere in your house, it actually repels mosquitoes.
Oh.
Yes, so you can have a small onion plant there just by the window and you're free from mosquitoes.
So I'm taking what you took earlier and I'm taking what you're saying now.
Mm-hmm.
What if someone out there listening says, hold on, I've got a bucket. Let me go pick up some onions and let me drive to an area where the mosquitoes, think they are king.
Yeah.
And just park my bucket and then sell the onions and tell them, guys, use it for this. And then that's innovation.
Yeah, you see, you are the youth that we need.
Yeah, I just need to cut 10 years off my age and then... I see you back there laughing at my age, colleagues, and it's not funny. Okay, so the second question we have is from Charlan Matlala. Pan-Africanism is a real thing. We are in Namibia, but we've got brothers in South Africa, Botswana, Nigeria, Kenya. Your organization, is it open to having members from other countries, or are you, for the moment, just focused on Namibia?
No, they are welcome. Does she want to join?
Yes, she wants to join the club.
You're welcome, my sister. She's welcome.
From South Africa.
She's from South Africa. Yes, recently we had a live seminar, where we tried to, it was an international seminar. We tried to connect the women in Namibia to other African countries. So we had the women from Zambia, Zimbabwe, Togo. So everyone is welcome. We want to inspire the whole African continent.
Excellent. That's what we want to hear. Pan-Africanism. We want to work together and learn from them as well. Maybe they have similar issues that they have overcome already. Yes. Okay. So, do you? Tala is asking. Can men also participate in clubs' activities? And do you work with other NGOs? Are you open to working with other NGOs?
Yes, men are welcome to join the club. I mean, we are trying to empower women. So we need men to come in and empower your women. So yes, men are welcome, and we also work with other NGOs. Yeah. They are also welcome. We can't do it alone. So we need also to partner with other companies and stuff like that.
I think Haley Dimulunde, she came in a bit late on the live stream because she's asking something that you really already answered, but maybe you can touch on it again. Do you think agriculture is important for the Namibian economy, and why? Just a short answer, summary.
Like I said, with about 70%, that's a huge percentage of the Namibian population depends on agriculture. That's in terms of employment, income, and food security, especially in our rural areas. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Justina Shikongo is asking about funding, and I just want to summarize that Helvi already spoke about that. Helvi said that, look, that is one of the challenges at the moment because, coming out of high school, coming out of university, it's very difficult for someone to get funding just off an idea of of agricultural business. It's not one of those businesses where you can just say, okay, I'm going to the bank and then I'm going to start farming. So at the moment, there is a lack of funding. Onions was answered. We've got another final question from Lily Shangadi before we go to the questions that we had prepared for you.
Okay.
What suggestions would you give Namibian government to improve or maintain the agriculture sector? How can they improve or maintain the agricultural sector?
I think the government really needs to start engaging us youth. You know, they need to start giving us opportunities on how can we partner with them. You know, so if when they see like youth like me or people like me are trying to push the agricultural sector, they also need to come in and meet us halfway. You know, because in the end, we really can't do it alone. We also need their help somewhere in between.
Yeah, it's about teamwork.
Yeah.
It's about everyone doing their part.
Yes. So the government should actually recognize the young people that are trying to do, you know, trying to really push the agricultural sector and also just bring in their side.
Yeah, excellent. Look, when you're looking at agriculture, you're talking about farming, you're talking about weather, seasons, right? I mean, there are seasons where you know that your things will grow and, you know, you prepare for those seasons. What do you think about the seasons when, you know, it's not the season for growing things? What ideas can you give farmers and young farmers? What can they do with their land during that time?
You see, like in Namibia, the country is really dry, you know, and for example, we just came from a very terrible drought, you know. So what we can improve is we can do water harvesting. You know, we can also improve the soil fertility, you know, organic compost, you know, and farmers can also change the cultivation calendar. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's just, if in the olden days we used to plow and start planting in December, for example, now the climate is changing, the weather is changing. So we should change our calendar as well. You know, the farmers can also improve their crop varieties that can actually survive in this new weather that we are having in Namibia. Okay,
good. Going back to the youth and to women, I want you to just take the term agripreneur. You know, it gets thrown around a lot. What does it mean? And you know, tell us a bit more about the term.
You know, agripreneur, it basically just means an agricultural entrepreneur. I think in a nutshell, that's it. So you are an agriculturalist, and then you bring in the entrepreneurship side. Yeah. Okay.
And what qualities do you need to be a good and successful agripreneur?
Qualities you need, the better start. I hope the viewers have their pens and notepads, yeah. Because I have about 5 qualities here that I can share with you. Number 1, you need to have knowledge. You know, successful farmers are always researching. You know, you need to always find new ways and new methods to improve your farming practices. And then the other one is passion. This was actually supposed to be the first thing on the list. You know, when you choose careers like agriculture, you need to love what you're doing. You can't just join agriculture just because, no, my dad is rich, so he gave me a piece of land. And it's not what you love. It's not going to work. So you really need to love what you're doing. This will help you in terms of when you fail, you'll have a reason to, you know, wake up and get going. And then the other quality we can look at is problem-solving abilities. You know, when you get into the agriculture or into farming, you realize that there's certain setbacks that require critical thinking. You know, some solutions are laid out in books, yes, but there are certain problems where the farmer needs to come up with innovative ideas to really solve these problems. And then the other one we could look at is marketing. how am I going to sell my produce? This is a question that bothers a lot of upcoming farmers. And, you know, as a farmer, you need to know all the ways possible on how to market your produce. I mean, in the modern world, we have social media, the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram. You cannot miss. So you really need to have that marketing skills. And then, yeah, I think those are the ones that I can share with you.
Now, you spoke about passion. What do you think about natural ability? You know, some people, they grew up on the farm, they know animals, they know when an animal is sick, they can just see it. What do you think about that ability? Is it something that's worth considering when you want to be an agripreneur and you already have that natural thing for farming and agriculture?
Yes, you know, like if you grew up on the farm, it basically means you have the experience. It doesn't matter whether you went to school, as long as you have the experience, you know how to run the farm, you know how everything works on the farm. So
go for it.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Go for it.
That's the message to all the guys that are sitting there and saying, look, I'm not in school, but I know how to farm. Mm-hmm. Get started, go for it. That's the advice from Helvi. Helvi, you spoke earlier about your school life and how, you know, maths used to kick your butt and you know, agriculture was, you know, really your go-to card. Talking about generally, you know, what do you think about the educational system with regards to preparing people for a life in agriculture? You can use some examples from your own life as well.
Yes, I think in tertiary, I think the system is quite good. I mean, we have the university, the New Dam campus, NAST itself offers agriculture, you know, we have the Hongo campus. So I think in tertiary, the system is quite good. But in secondary and primary, it's not quite good. I mean, even with me, it's not all schools that have agriculture as a subject. When I had agriculture till grade 10, but I moved to a new school and the school didn't offer agriculture. So I had to choose something else because that school that I wanted to go didn't give me agriculture. So I think we need, the system really has to come in and say the educational system needs to come in and provide agriculture or make it compulsory in all secondary schools.
And in terms of teachers, maybe you might not know, but are teachers focusing on agriculture as a field when they are studying, or do they study teaching and agriculture is one of the subjects? Do you know?
Yeah, I think they focus on agriculture as a field. You know, you say I want to be a teacher, but only a science teacher, which includes agriculture, I think.
Okay, so we are going to go into a very short break, 30-second break, because we are getting some comments on Facebook and Twitter that we want to consolidate for the last 10 minutes of question time. Thank you so much, Helvi. We're doing great, and it's an amazing Campfire session 7. Okay, so we are back. Campfire. Colleagues, my phone. Where's my phone with the questions? I hope we can get it here, guys. I think there's a phone there. Thank you to our fantastic producers. Okay, Campfire, episode 7. This is base camp. So just to remind everyone, Startup Namibia is an initiative, a collaboration between the German government. It's funded by the German government with the Ministry of Industrialization and Trade, and it's implemented by the GIZ. We are based in Karutura at the Bokamoso Center, where we will also build our awesome, fantastic, one-stop everything incubation center, and we also do field work where we go out into the field with our regional outreach officer, Ms. Clemmy Beck, and we make sure that the information gets to as far and as wide as possible. On that note, I would like to just tell everyone that we were in the regions, we handed out the PPE kits. It was awesome, and we are really appreciating all the support we are getting from you and everyone that's sharing their photos with us as they are using the PPE kits. We are almost done with this session, but before we finish, we tapped into your mind. Now we need to tap into your heart, We need to find out, what is it what special advice can you give upcoming agriculturalists and people that want to go into agriculture?
From my heart, I would say just start. Just go for it. Whatever you get your hands on, just do it. Start networking, research, get knowledge about what it is that you want to start. Even with me, when I started the Women in Agriculture organization, I didn't know anything about public speaking, for instance, but I was like, you know what, I'm doing this.
I'm going to stop your thought there. I wanted to ask you earlier, how do you manage? Fourth year student. When I was fourth year, I was a wreck, running around trying to do assignments, trying not to fail and lose your scholarships. But you were doing that and you're managing a foundation.
Sure. Okay, I would say they're both my babies, but it's like there is the firstborn and then the lastborn. So school is kind of my firstborn, and then the organization is my lastborn. So with school, I need to make sure that I pass. I need to get the paper in order for me to run the organization successfully. I can't be telling women that, no, this is what you can do, but you don't even have a paper.
and looking at the way forward in the future for you and the organization, what do you see on the other side of the mountain?
I see, I see an organization in, let's say, the United States, talking about women in agriculture in Namibia. You see, so I dream of it so big that we get all other women around the world, to come together and just inspire and motivate each other to do farming and to produce food for the world.
Okay, so you're going to be that hub that's going to empower women and young women, to take over the agricultural sector.
Yes.
How many members do you have now, if I can ask?
We have about 253 members.
Wow. And what are you looking at towards, when you are in the 5 years, where do you want to be in terms of numbers and membership?
In membership, we are trying to, we want it to grow, yes. We want to cater for the whole Namibia. So in 5 years, we want to get as many women participating in the organization. And I want to see a lot of women not only doing farming on a small scale, but on a commercial level.
No, and I mean, for those who want to join, we've got very few minutes left. But those who want to join, what do they need to do? Where do they get you? What is the procedure for becoming part of this structures?
I think you can just talk to me. I'll probably give out my contact details, my email address.
Yeah, you can give it out now.
Okay, it's Helvi Shindume 1@gmail.com. So I think you can reach me up on the email, and then we'll take it from there.
And then they can get the application forms and the procedures from you.
Yes.
Okay, good. And we have one question. I can see people waving at me. This is okay. So 2 minutes before the thing ends, they throw 2 questions at you. Sorry, I know you thought your torture was finished. What are the agri challenges experienced during tough economic times, like now? What are the challenges for farmers and agriculturalists now?
With now, I want to focus more on the small-scale farmers. The farmers that produce tomatoes and go sell it locally in the streets. Now, in terms of COVID-19, for example, they're really getting a tough time. You're not allowed to. They can't. The number of customers they usually got in the normal days, it's not the same as it is now. So I think at this current moment, that's our biggest challenge with the farmers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here we are, a few seconds before the end of our live stream. It was excellent. I hope that everyone at home learned so much, and that tomorrow morning we'll see so many people in their gardens, just doing, telling their dog, come, I want to breed now. And it's going to be interesting wherever you are tomorrow morning. And also to think of getting in touch with you, because you are holding a lot of knowledge, you're doing events, and it's valuable to someone, especially women, who want to. What was the answer to the gentleman? Can men also?
Yes, we need men to come in and empower you women.
Excellent. So even men, they can join the organization and just grow. So any final words from you as you say goodbye?
I would say thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It was really great. I mean, I hope I shared my knowledge and someone took 2 or 3 things out of this. So thank you to Startup Namibia.
Very welcome. When you say thank you, I also say thank you to you. I would like to say thank you to the GIZ and the German government, the Ministry of Industrialization and Trade, all our partners, the City of Windhoek, Ministry of Higher Education. Really, really, we appreciate all the support we are getting at Startup Namibia. And thank you to Helvi, our wonderful guest who gave us so much knowledge. Thank you to Mayor Helena. I hope that after this session, she's going to teach me more sign language that I can brag with next week. And that is all, colleagues and friends and Startup Namibia family. See you next week.